31-2, wins its first region championship in program history, advancing to the Elite Eight for the first time. Coach, if you'd like to start us with an opening statement.
It was a great college basketball game. I've been saying all day, anybody that cared to listen, it seemed like we were getting a lot of questions. It was going to come down to the last possession, and it did. And I thought that both teams just played a really well-played, hard-fought college basketball game. I think the fans got their money's worth, and I think our kids are very, me personally, I'm not done to be ready to be done playing, and I think the world of these kids around me, and I've got 4 special seniors, but I'll end this with just tipping my hat and complimenting as much as I can Ben McCullum and his staff and the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats. I thought they played a whale of a game. They've got a great player, and Justin Pitts and a very good team, but it's two great players in a row we've had to play, and both gave their best games that they could do, and we did all we could do, and they still had 31 with Baranek and 34 with Pitts, so just compliment them on their great season, and they'll be very good next year. They've got a lot of young guys still coming back.
Questions?
Jordan, what was going through your head on those last free throws? I mean, you've got to imagine some of the biggest shots of your career.
Yeah, I mean, in practice, I like to practice pressure situations, so I was quite confident in stepping up. Once I saw the first one go in, it was great to see go through, but yeah, I was pretty confident going into that.
Have you ever imagined that particular situation?
Yeah, I mean, you always dream about as a basketball player to help your team win. So yeah, I've thought about it, and it was great that I could get the win for the guys.
Casey, how important was it? You guys took a little bit of the lead in the second half, and then you were able to maintain it every time they made a little run. Either you hit a big shot or Jordan hit a big three. How important was it to keep that lead?
It was huge. That was kind of a big thing where we really go on the first 5 minutes, and that's kind of our big deal. Is the first 5 minutes each half we want to go out and we want to push this lead or just go get it. It's one of those things we want to just go get after them. Be confident and just go out and play our butts off. And so that was kind of the big thing where every time they threw a punch, we came back and we hit them right back. So, I mean, that was kind of the big thing tonight where we had a bunch of guys, and it wasn't 1 or 2 guys. It was a whole team, and everybody just kept coming and was just ready when it was their turn.
Casey, how much were the previous 2 games against them on your guys' minds, both the regular season game this year and the playoff game last year?
It's one of those things. A lot of people buy into it. They're a great team. That's all there is to it. I mean, it's obviously we didn't want to lose to them last year, and that added a ton of fuel to the fire. That was kind of our big thing is, we're not letting this happen again. And tonight we proved it, and earlier in the year we proved it. And so it's just one of those things where they have battled us, and every game has been as close as it can be. But you know what? It's just great to see that we can be the mature team and come out on top tonight.
You guys obviously took some lanes away from Pitts to start the second half, but those last 4 or 5 possessions when he was coming right at you, what did you see from him? How was he able to get the ball in the hoop?
Pitts is a heck of a player. There's one of those things. He's the type of guy, same as Baranek from last night. You don't stop him. You hope to contain him. And so it's one of those things where we were going to make him shoot over the length. Adam Byer, he's a great defender. He's a long kid, 6'6", wingspan. That's crazy. And we were going to make him shoot over top of him. And that was kind of our thing. Adam did a great job early in the game, and obviously Pitts hit some tough ones. And so that was kind of the thing. We believed in him, and we weren't going to give their shooters a wide-open 3, especially when in situations when we were up 2. We're not going to let them take the lead. So we were going to make him beat us, and hats off to him. He made a lot of tough shots, and he almost did.
What does it mean for this program to get to the Elite Eight for the first time playing team basketball?
I thought, it really hasn't sunk in yet. It was such a unique ending. It was eerily similar to last year when we were up 5, and we kept missing shots and making turnovers, and we were up 6 tonight, and the same exact thing about the same time of the game. It was almost like Groundhog Day. I thought we were going through the exact same thing all over again. We just couldn't get that lead up to 8 or 10, and they did do a great job. But, it means a lot, but I've got a great group of kids. I know the seniors are who you tend to talk about because we continue to play until it's over and it's done. There's a group of kids in that locker room that don't get a lot of minutes this year. We play about 7, 8, and that's it. And those kids in that locker room are as happy as anyone that we won. They come to practice every day. They help us get better. And the future is theirs. They're going to be here down the road, and I hope they can carry this torch. But that's a pretty heavy torch from what this group has done. it's not easy to go back-to-back 30-win seasons. It's not easy to win 2 conference championships, 2 postseason championships. It's not. I don't care what level you're at. And that's why sometimes you look at Kansas and program, you just shake your head at, how they just make it look so easy. It's tough. And against, I think they're as good as anybody in the country. We said it. We knew it going into the week. I would add one thing with Pitts, and this was just for tonight. We kind of, and he was 3 for 4. We didn't want him to go off with threes. We were kind of saying, all right, he's going to get to the bucket. But the twos, they kind of get going with those threes. Schneider did it last year, and Pitts, can just shoot it so well. I thought that really just helped them against Mankato, just huge when the game got down to 8. So that was a little bit by design. No, we didn't want to give him laying finger rolls. That wasn't necessarily the design. But we did talk a lot about not letting him hit 8 threes tonight, too.
Coach, how impressed were you with John Warren tonight? He did well himself when he was put on Fitz, made some big shots when they were open, and it was him breaking up that last inbounds. So how impressed were you with him to do all that?
Yeah, and by the way, when you throw it in the air, make sure there's not like 4 seconds still on the clock. Holy cow. I was like, that's a little early on the toss. Yeah. John, really put 2 good games together. I thought he really helped us against Kearney, too. And with our staff, I said, we've got to get a little bit off our bench. Something, and I'll tell you, Zach's 4 points and John's, I think he had 8. Is that right? I'm not even still looking at it. But you get 12 points from our bench. That's huge for us because we are a volume minute team with our top 5 guys, and that's how it's got to be this time of the year. But John, both defensively and offensively, and he's a hard worker. He's in the gym. He's getting shots up extra. He's really working on his offensive game, and he hit some. He actually hit one when they called the illegal screen on Zach, which was a good call, and he made that 3 too. You're sitting there going, "Gosh, I wish he wouldn't even have shot it. It'd make me even sicker." But no, he really helped us.
Casey, you were the one that ended up with the ball, but what did you see on that last play? Obviously, the ball was going to a wide open guy over the top. What was going through your head?
It's one of those things. It's kind of one of those oh crap moments. Coker was open, Connor was open, and John just made a great play on the ball. He's an athlete, and he really just he got his hand on it, and I just got it, and I took 2 dribbles and chucked it in the air. So it was one of those things where, it's just one of those things. We were happy it went our way, but it obviously could have gone the other way. So we're just glad that we didn't let Pitts get a touch because that was kind of our big thing. We wanted to deny him, and we were going to make somebody else beat us.
Casey, what does it mean to get to the Elite 8? Because in Division II, Elite 8 is the big thing. Obviously, you want to win when you get there. But
Yes, sir.
What does it mean?
Yes, sir. It's huge. This has been a dream. Our whole 4 years we've talked about it, and we've talked about it, but we never accomplished it. But until now, and so that was kind of the big thing where, it was kind of one of those things. We knew we had the potential last year, and we obviously fell a little bit short. And so this year we were motivated the whole way through it. So we weren't going to let that happen again. And so just when that buzzer rang and we were victorious, it was a great feeling. It was all the hard work that we've put through our whole 4 years has really paid off. And so it's one of those things where, you got to thank God that He put the pieces together. And it's just one of those things where we got to just keep using His talents to the best of our abilities.
Tom, how much, Casey spoke about it a little bit, but how much did last year's loss motivate you going into this tournament and into this game against the team?
It motivated us more going into the season. We didn't really talk about it at all even after we played them in November. But it motivated us over last spring and the summer. It was brought up often, and it was huge motivation. We did do, when we lost to them last year, we sat in the locker room for a minute, and I said, don't ever forget this feeling. It never has to happen again. And then when we came out here to practice, we went back in the same locker room, and I had everybody sit there, and I said, reflect back a year ago. This feeling never has to happen again. So we did refer to it before our very first regional game. Other than that, we never talked about it. It's a good question, though.
Coach, last coach said that he thinks you guys are the favorite to win the national title. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, thanks, Ben. I really appreciate that. No, I think those were 2 really good teams. Had they beat us, I'd say I think they could go win it. I think when you have go-to players, you have star players. I don't know a better word for it. We've got our share too, but they've got kids that can just go get buckets, and they can they're very well coached and very happy with that game. You got to have some luck now. It's a 3-game tournament, and you got to go down there and have some luck. Who knows who we're even going to play? There's a lot but we're just so thankful. Casey summed it up so well, just to have the opportunity to go. Now we're not just like, oh, good, we made it. we got to go down there and be ready to play. You know, it's not like, oh, okay, we got over that hurdle. We want to go down there and play our best basketball. If we lose playing our best, then tip my hat to the other opponent.
How quickly will you start preparing for the next opponent when you find out who it is?
We'll find out tomorrow and start prepping and start getting travel plans. So we want all that off the table early so our kids can just focus on the task at hand. And we got some things to clean up. We actually cleaned up some stuff this past week. We had so much time off from our NSIC tournament. We actually had like October practices the first couple, and I think it really helped us.
Yes, sir.
You know, we'll get some good practice time in and clean some things up and start prepping.
Coach, yesterday you said you had to play the perfect game to win today. How close were you to a perfect game? Were you a perfect game?
I thought we really played well till I thought when we had the 6-point lead, we did some silly things, you know, and just some silly turnovers and what have you. Now, when we had that lead and how we've kind of we just want to, if they score twos, we want to make our free, you know, we're okay with that. We just got to come make sure we make our free throws or take care of the basketball. I wouldn't call it a perfect game, but both teams, I think, played very, very good basketball in a really neat environment with great crowd and a lot on the line. And I don't think anyone, I don't know if either team would sit there and say it's the best game either one's played all year, but nobody has any right to hang their head because they just went out and battled. That was a war.
You coached at this level in this region for a while. Just where would you rank Pitts among some of the
I mean, especially after we just held him to 34. You know, he's pretty high. You know, he's just such a clever player. You know, he's smart. He creates space. He hits the shot. You know, it's really funny, and I mean this in the greatest compliment because he's a great player. But it's those are kids that make Division II basketball such a great level of basketball because he's kind of undersized. Now you can tell me he can't play for 100+ Division I schools or whatever. But look what he's doing where he's at in the career he's going to have, and he's going to have it. They'll have a chance to compete for a national championship before he's all said and done. Who knows? But you know, I just think he's a really, really good player. I think it's a really super neat situation, and I see why he's there, and I see how good he is. He's a great player.
Casey, your seniors get a lot of credit on this team. But what is it like? What does it mean for this team letting a guy like Jordan take that last shot when you got you and Dan and others out there?
I'm glad he got fouled. That's kind of the big thing. But no, I mean, it's one of those things we trust all our guys on our team. We definitely, I have all the trust in the world in him and Adam and John being the younger guys. You know, every time they shoot it, I think it's going in. And it's just one of those things where our team is so strong, especially the guys that come out and compete every night and play a lot, and even the guys that don't get a lot of minutes. I think our team is just so rock solid this year that I feel like, you know, we can and we know what we can accomplish, but we just got to go out there and do it. And so when you got guys that have that confidence and all that, I mean, Jordan and Adam, they're one of the most confident guys I know. Every time they come in the gym, they're ready to work. And so it's just one of those things where, you know, I think we've done a great job as seniors building our legacy and building this program and building all the, you know, the traditions that we've had. And it's just a great thing to see that these guys are going to be able to, we're going to pass the torch and they're going to take it. And hopefully they don't fall off at all, and I don't think they will.
Coach, in terms of the